So, Ash, Derek, live audience. This has been a busy, busy day. We've had the Indie World presentation, we've had the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase, and the Sonic 3 movie trailer. There's a lot to talk about here, and I think the best way to do it is to go kind of backwards, like Indie, Partners, then Sonic. I know that's kind of like a middle, whatever. That's what we're doing.
We know what you all want to hear.
Yeah. So a lot of the indie stuff, while very cool, some of it is known quantity stuff. So there's not a crazy amount to talk about. But what was like the key indie game for you in that presentation?
Well, I think we can all agree the Shrek DLC for Power Wash Simulator is pretty... That's the megaton, right?
You joke, but that's going to do extremely well.
Oh, it
totally is.
It will.
Yeah.
We were joking about Peggle, as we often do, and we kind of got Peggle back with Pegglin.
Yeah.
Not only is Peggle a really cool game, like genuinely, Peggle's a really cool game, but mixing it with a turn-based RPG is genuinely like a really good idea. And it's out right now. Like I'm going to download it once we're done talking about this, but I'm pretty excited to try Pegglin.
Honestly, just watching the footage of it just calmed me. Something about seeing the numbers pop up and just seeing it, like Brandon said during the presentation, kind of like in a breakout Arkanoid type way. It's just very satisfying to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sort of pleasant. Yeah, just pleasant, and it's out right now. And honestly, that's sort of the big takeaway with the Indie World and the Partner Direct. Lots of out nows.
Yeah,
like,
a
stuff
lot
just
about now.
Shadow dropped.
Today's busy. Like I don't know what I want right now. I'm going to go on the eShop and just sort of decide what I'm actually going to get. But I think there's like 6 things battling for my time right now.
Yeah.
Time and money, yeah.
Yeah, and money.
We did find. I mean, October is looking even more stacked than ever now, and we did finally get a release date for Neva, however you want to say it, which continues to look so good, and there's no way that game is not going to make me cry. No. That game looks amazing. Oh my god.
The console debut of Pizza Tower as well. That's probably the biggest thing of the showcase.
That's definitely the biggest thing.
Yeah,
I've had people just like, you got to play Pizza Tower. Pizza Tower is so good. It's like, I want to wait for it to be on console. It's on console. Trust me, I'm interested. It looks
and it's at home here because it's Wario Land. It's basically a spiritual successor to Wario Land. So Nintendo fans, please get on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild to me that we got Anton Blast announced before Pizza Tower, but Pizza Tower released before Anton Blast. It's like, okay.
Pika Park 2 looks cool as well. 8 players. There's very few 8-player Switch games. It's joined a small cult of those games now.
Yeah, and my wife and I played Pika Park 1 together and really enjoyed it, so that was kind of a nice surprise. I think we'll probably pick that up. And I know you have very, very mixed thoughts on it, Derek, but personally, despite its faults, I still enjoyed Sea of Stars, and I was looking at some of the stuff about the DLC, and I missed this during the presentation, but it's going to add local co-op, so you can play local 3 players. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have expected
I think
that.
the local co-op is free.
Yeah,
I think the local co-op is a free update, and
I think it also
works in the DLC.
And that's pretty cool.
And yeah, I beat Sea of Stars, but I also kind of bounced off Sea of Stars because my big issue was that the story was fine. There's definitely had some interesting moments, but the characters did not change. Like it was the same combat throughout the entire game, and maybe this DLC will fix that. I don't know, but I also don't know if I would be in. Do I want to give it that chance? I don't know.
That's fair. And overall, though, I think the indie side of the presentation, it was good. It was very good, actually. But a lot of the games in there we have seen before. Like we've seen the Plucky Squire. We know of Shovel Knight DX. We know of Date Everything, which looks fantastic. But there aren't that many brand new. I've not seen this game before. But what was there was still very good, and it flowed very well. But I'm not sure there's that much more.
Something for everybody.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's that much more for us to really dissect though on the indie side.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it was solid. Definitely, a little something for everybody. But yeah, I think we've covered all the major bits.
Yeah,
that's sort of how it goes with indies. It's like you're not going to be click with everything, but you will find 1 or 2 things that really catches your interest. The only thing I'll say that we saw during the Indie Direct, but still don't have a date for, where the heck are we getting Metal Slug Tactics?
I know.
Please?
Yeah, they said
and that
fall,
continues to look
right?
so good.
And fall technically doesn't mean this year. That's right, isn't it? Fall can mean like
Well, it said
January.
fall 2024.
Okay,
so
okay.
It goes... anytime before November, from what I understand, or before I guess December technically.
And after the indies, they said like we're going to show you stuff from the second half of 2024, and like half of these games are 2025.
I know.
That's how it always goes.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us were expecting another Capcom Fighting Collection this soon, especially when Marvel hasn't launched yet. And like when it started, I was like, okay, we're getting some neat games. But then they just went all out with like Power Stone, that and Project Justice. Like, what the hell?
That was like maybe the single most exciting moment of the partner showcase for me. You know, I mean, you all have heard me complain about Rival Schools and Project Justice not being playable on modern platforms for years now. And for some reason, we're not getting the original Rival Schools. That's okay. I do think Project Justice is a better game, but we're finally getting Project Justice in a modern collection alongside both Power Stone games and CVS 1 and CVS 2. I mean, like, Capcom, calm down.
We're used to these collections being like 16-bit games, right? And you usually think like if games are older than that, they stand alone. But no, they're just shoved in with everything else. Yeah, there's absolutely time for like Rival Schools and things to come back, but it's crazy.
It really.
I love the swerve with it because you see it and it's just like you immediately think, oh, we're finally getting Capcom versus SNK after all this, talk about all these indicators that we're finally going to get that, whether it was SVC Chaos coming out or the Capcom versus SNK game that was on the Neo Geo.
Right.
We're finally getting that. So we get those two and we're like, okay, we finally got the Capcom versus SNK collection. And then as John said, Power Stone, I'm blanking on the name.
Project Justice?
Project Justice, thank you. It's not listed on here. For some reason, they have Plasma Sword listed on here, but they don't have Project Justice.
Yeah, weird.
Though, why are we getting Capcom Fighting Evolution back?
I know.
The game that killed 2D fighters for Capcom.
It has historic value in that regard.
Yeah.
I suppose, but I think I'd rather have Rival Schools than Capcom Fighting Evolution.
But this isn't the end. They still got Tatsunoko versus Capcom. They've got tons. They can do tons in here.
There's still more they can do.
Oh yeah. I mean, for those not familiar with Plasma Sword, and I've not played it, but from my understanding, Plasma Sword's basically if Star Wars Masters of Terakazi was good, because it's basically a Star Wars game.
Right. I haven't played Plasma Sword myself, but it'll be a great curio to check out.
And after this, they dated Marvel vs. Capcom in like a week, 2 weeks maybe. It's
September 12th for digital, November 22nd for physical. And
right. Yeah.
That's a tough choice right there.
The November 22nd
date. Physical.
The November 22nd date leaked like a couple of weeks ago from Shop 2, but I didn't realize that was just the physical date. Like, who knew that September so soon was going to be the digital date? Yeah, that's going to be a nice birthday present. That's 2 days after my birthday and 5 days before yours, Derek. So happy birthday to both of us, man.
And these aren't just standard re-releases either. I mean, I've been begging for Power Stone with online since the 360. I've been like for so long, and we're getting that as just like an extra in a much broader set. So nice. So nice. There's actually a few little collections in here that speak to, I think, every single one of us, actually. We all want these. So I want to talk about Tetris real quick, because they showed off...
Go for it.
They showed off like NES Tetris. And I was like, oh, neat. They're bringing back some older games. But then they just like shoved in a bunch of obscure ones and also a few more historic ones. And I think the Tetris collection is cool on its own. But what makes it even cooler is that mode where they just merge together and you're playing like different versions of Tetris simultaneously. And that's when it became something more than just a cool collection and something that really is like a new pillar of Tetris. And Switch has like 20 Tetris games now, and they're all so different. And yes, as Famicom Catective Club says, it has a documentary in there.
Yeah, and that's really cool.
I love that.
What's kind of neat about this, John, is that you and I talked to my buddy James from Way Forward about this in Germany while we were still there. But it's kind of cool seeing the rise of like this kind of newish genre of like documentary games with like the Atari 50 collection, and now this Tetris collection that includes a documentary about Tetris, and that's just I want to see more of this,
Yes. Yeah, very, very important.
Those documentaries almost make me interested. I'm not huge on the old Atari games, but those documentaries from the Atari 50 collection makes me more interested. And I gotta say, with this Tetris Forever, there's some Tetris games in there I've never heard of.
Same, yeah.
There's a Tetris 3. I heard there was a Tetris 2. I had no idea there was a Tetris 3.
I didn't either, yeah.
And they also said Tetris is coming to NSO on the NES front. And Tetris is coming to Tetris 99.
Yeah, I know.
Which is so funny to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you did mention NSO, and that was one of the slight little blind spots for me in this one. I kind of would have liked to see, and we talked about this before, but maybe a couple more rare games announced for NSO and 64.
Nice.
You know, we're missing so many, like Banjo-Tooie, Diddy Kong Racing, DK64. So that was a bit of a but hopefully we'll still see them at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
We got time.
I guess to round up the collection front, it's something we've been predicting since I don't know how long. Castlevania DS is real.
Yeah, buddy. Dominance Collection.
Thank you. Thank you. I almost said Capcom. Thank you, Konami. These, I cannot stress enough. It is out now. According to Cat Detective Club, $25. That is a steal.
These games are super valuable. Very valuable these days.
They're so rare.
Yeah.
All three of these games are excellent.
Are three of the best Castlevania games ever. Like, everybody raises up Symphony of the Night. I would posit all three of these are better than Symphony of the Night.
Wow, those are big words. I mean, they are really, really good. Yeah.
Order of Ecclesia is my favorite.
It's my favorite too.
I'm shocked we got Haunted Castle, a legit version of Haunted Castle, not the BS version that was in arcades where you didn't have continues in that one in the traditional sense. Despite an arcade game, you put in quarters to refill your health and kind of get confused. It was weird. You needed the arcade archive in order to even attempt to beat that game normally, and it is so buggy, but the music is awesome. So if they have redone music for this new version of Haunted Castle, yes, okay, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah. There's some Rebirth chat going on Rebirth talk going on in the chat. Once they're done with this, I think Rebirth is the next natural step. Like whether it's Castlevania Rebirth, Contra Rebirth, and Gradius Rebirth in a collection, that'd be a really nice one.
I agree.
Makes sense.
But yeah, very, very cool. And honestly, this is some of the best value on the eShop right now.
Easily. Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. Like, 25 for all three of these games is a steal. And if you haven't played them, as Derek was saying, and I wholeheartedly agree, these are three of the best Castlevania games ever. Yeah. Period. And I agree with you guys. Order of Ecclesia is probably my favorite.
For sure. I want to talk about Tales of Grace's F real quick, too. This is a funny one for me because I followed the Wii so closely. And there were a couple of big games like Fatal Frame 4 and Tales of Grace's, which stayed in Japan despite being in magazines all the time. And I followed Tales of Grace's real close, but for whatever reason, when it finally came to PlayStation 3, I just didn't play it. So this is finally time for me to play that game that I followed so closely for however long. And yeah, it looks really good here, really good here, and it's not suffering in the same way that Symphonia did. It doesn't have the same circumstance as Symphonia, but very cool game.
It's easy. They actually have all this source stuff, and we're good on that front. So yeah, it's cool. Everybody was talking that we might get Zillia, but we got Grace's F instead. And honestly, I think that's kind of cooler because it's just I don't know much about Grace's F and how it stands up compared to other games, but it's cool that it happened for sure.
Yeah.
Also, talking about RPGs coming back, we got two others. One part of the collection trend. We finally got a new release date for Suikoden 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's coming out March 6th.
Yeah. People shouldn't forget how big of an effort these are, too. Like, it's a funny one, because I always hoped that more collections and remasters would, include the original, to, for frame of reference for what they were like, and this does. And when you toggle back and forth, they've redone so much. There's more sound effects, there's redone music, and even though it's still 2D, it's like a weird kind of hybrid of HD 2D almost. But it looks super, super good. And I can't wait to play these again. I've not played Suikoden 1 actually. I only know of 2 in my memories. So I'm really happy to give that first one a go.
I own both, but I've never played them. I've just got them for the collection and never had a chance to actually try them. So.
That's so funny. I thought I was maybe the only one who had not played the Suikoden games before, so I'm glad I'm not. But I've always heard such amazing things.
Yeah, this is a must play if you can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to check it out because for whatever reason, that just was something I never got to on the PS1, and I really want to fix that with this collection.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's much to say about this one, but I played this a bunch as a kid, and that's Stalker, because obviously we got a new Stalker coming out very soon.
Oh,
And I played Shadows of Chernobyl so much as a kid, and I never expected this to come to Switch. It's a very cool get.
Apparently, it's I don't know much about Stalker, but it's called Legends of the Zone Trilogy. So I don't know what games, like how many Stalker games there are, but apparently there's 3 on this.
Yeah, we're getting Stalker 2 finally, but Stalker kind of got like expansion-esque sequels. Is that kind of era of PC? And yeah, these are coming to like PS5 and Xbox. And they've been confirmed for a while, but super cool for Switch though. Yeah, just really nice. Yeah, you got.
Oh, good. Another really cool surprise on the RPG front, which came out of nowhere, is a remake of Trails in the Sky the First.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Like, that's so cool.
That's a big deal because look at the original Trails of the Sky and then look at this version. It is a boost that puts it in line with the other Trails games.
Right.
And obviously there's 2 more games that need to come, but it's still awesome that it's happening.
Trails is one of those series that
really
they're kind of overwhelming to come into because there's so many, and this kind of feels like a good entry point to that now.
I mean, it is the very first.
Yeah.
Because I'll never get to play all of the, Legend of Heroes Trails games, but I've always heard that the Trails in the Sky trilogy is kind of like really kind of the pinnacle.
Yeah.
And I would like to just play those 3 games specifically.
For sure. Shouts out to Worms Armageddon as well. But when we're doing our discussion about like predictions for what's going to be in here, we kind of said like most of the legacy stuff that we'd want on Switch is there now. And then I think this presentation just was like, no, there's actually still quite a lot in there. Most of what we're talking about, they're legacy games. And Worms is a really cool one to have on a handheld. That's the dream game to snap a Joy-Con off and just play with a friend on a train or something.
A funnier legacy game that's coming that kind of hinted that that there might be a direct coming soon. Of course, My Sims, and they just seemed like straight ports.
They called them retro classics. You can't call My Sims a retro classic.
That's so funny. Yeah,
I'm amazed by that, but sure, why not?
Yeah, I know.
I've never played them. I have no interest in it, but you do you.
Yeah.
I will say, I feel like people are going to be pretty interested in that Atelier Yumiya. We got the next Atelier trilogy starting up with this one, and this one seems much more action based than any other Atelier I've seen.
Yeah, going full action RPG it seems, which I wasn't expecting, but. It's kind of cool to see Atelier taking a risk and doing something a little bit different this time.
Yeah, it looks really good too.
After the success of Ryza, it makes sense.
Yeah,
right.
I thought they were going to cut on that game. That felt like the finale, and would have been a bit underwhelmed, but it looked very nice regardless. But is there something we want to talk about before we get to the final game of this presentation?
I think we've pretty much... Yeah, I think we've cut. This was a little. I think we were all kind of hoping when they showed Dragon Quest III, we were all kind of silently crossing our fingers for a demo announcement. It unfortunately didn't happen.
I think it's too early. It'll happen in October.
Square do a demo for like every game they do. But yeah, the final game, Yakuza is finally coming to Switch with Kiwami. And ever since the Switch launched, like I think Zero and the Switch launched were in the same year, right? In 2017 in the West.
I want to say that is the case, yes.
And Zero, that was a PlayStation 3 game that was ported to PS4. So there's not really been much of a reason that it couldn't come to Switch, but publicly Sega said, it's 2018, thank you. Publicly Sega said like the audience isn't there for Switch. It's it's not a console for adults. So all these years later and what's basically the final year, we're getting Yakuza 1 Kiwami. And it feels like a nice complete circle. Like, this is one of the big franchises Switch never got. And we're finally there.
Yeah, it's finally happening.
It really feels like ever since the shepherd of the series, I forget his name. He also handled Monkey Ball.
Oh yeah,
ever since
he
left.
Yeah, things have changed.
Team Yakuza. They're like, okay, now we're actually going to sell this stuff because that was just money sitting on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, very very nice place to start. I think. Oh. Lost Ash for a second there. I think Yakuza.
Sorry, my camera. Yeah,
Yakuza is one of those series that like it's kind of intimidating now. There's so many of them.
Yeah.
So if you're jumping in now, it's like, oh god, what do I do? And yeah, this is just the easy natural place.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to imagine that if it does well, this is probably the first of many Yakuza ports. to the Switch.
Sure.
And I assume
They did that with
will do quite
Xbox. They brought like 0 along first, and like, okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and
well. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the successor coming out, you could just easily,
yeah.
just keep going.
But these were good presentations. You know, nothing like brand new, but lots of great gets for legacy stuff. And you know, with Switch coming into the end of its life, this is good. I think this is the best we can hope for, really. Just a constant stream of amazing legacy games.
Yeah, I think so. And to kind of to pay lip service to something you've been speculating about for quite a while, Derek, and I was kind of a little iffy on it, but given how obscure some of the games in that Capcom Fighting Collection 2 are, I'm kind of thinking maybe a Mega Man Legends collection might really be possible someday.
I think
they
so.
might
It's
actually
totally possible.
do it.
Look at how well Battle Network sold. These collections that Capcom are putting out are selling amazingly
and dude,
well.
Tomb Raider as well. Tomb Raider was topping the eShop charts. There's
true.
definitely
Yeah.
space for PS1 trilogies.
Yeah.
Oh, easily.
I'm always dooming when it comes to Mega Man, but I actually do feel like it's possible now after that.
Yeah, no, I think it's they figured something out when it comes to 3D porting,
Yeah.
and I think we're all gonna just benefit from it. It's interesting though because we got the beat 'em up collection, but they totally have way more beat 'em ups they can put up there. And the dream game at that point now is if they could somehow figure out the license to Alien versus Predator.
Oh,
That would be the next thing I think to make people lose their mind.
It's such a good
Absolutely.
game.
You're right. Catective Club, Tokimeki Memorial was in the Japanese presentation a remake. I'm not holding up much hope that we get that localized, but it's a very cool one for Japan
highly
at
doubt
least.
it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, good directs. Just a constant stream of stuff that I want to buy. Nothing that's I'm going like, oh, that's a
Sadly,
brand
yes.
new thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the last year of the Switch. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't expect big new games. They're saving that. But ports, collections, yeah, I'm all down for, especially when
Let's
they're
go.
hard-to-find games. Now you get to save yourself money on what you need to pay on get Tales of Graces,
Yeah.
the Castlevania games, the Capcom games
Tetris
Yep.
3.
with new features. Tetris 3, exactly.
Yeah.
And now, just in general, like October was already stacked. Now it's ridiculous. There's so much coming out left and right now.
Yeah. But I think
Oh,
we've covered
man.
indies. We've covered the
Yeah.
direct. Our third pillar. Sonic Movie 3. Ash, you're rubbing your hands together. Was it a good trailer for you? Did it do everything you wanted it to do?
It did, man. I got to go hibernate until December 20th, man. I mean, obviously, we've all been so excited for this trailer to drop, and I need to go back and watch it a couple more times just to catch everything I know I missed, but it's got everything. It's got Shadow, it's got Maria, it's got Gerald, it's got, all these epic set pieces, and it's got Keanu. We got to hear
Keanu's not even doing a voice. That's just Keanu, and it works so
It's
well.
just Keanu. Yeah.
He didn't need to do a voice. We know why they hired him.
I know. And, man, Shadow looks perfect, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
He just looks...
After watching that trailer, that thought in my mind, like, what would he have looked like if they hadn't redesigned Sonic? Can you imagine that short
Right? Can you
teethy
imagine?
Shadow?
Somebody's got to do a render of that. I'm sure somebody's already.
I'm sure.
has done
I'm
it
sure someone's
or
already
working
done
on
it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it looks great though. The first movie was like that Sonic buddy movie. It was a Sonic human movie. Two
Yeah.
kind of had like a half and half, but they never really played together that much. And 3 feels like they're going full on Sonic now. Like there's minor scenes of humans in there, but they're focusing so much more on Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the humans are definitely just the supporting cast at this point.
Yeah.
And I mean, they know. You put Shadow on the cover of anything, thumbnail for anything, and bam.
Yep.
You're sold. All you need is, it's a dark reflection of Sonic. Yes, please.
I was saying to, because Daniel and Brandon and I reacted to it for our Patreon, I was saying, like, Sonic Movie 2 kind of did, like, the rival premise already, like Sonic versus Knuckles. And to do it again
Right.
with Sonic versus Shadow, they've done it differently this time, though. I think putting Robotnik kind of in the background changes that dynamic a lot, because it's not like someone being manipulated by Eggman. It's now, Shadow's the big threat that they have to come together to defeat, which, again, kind of works like Adventure 2, where they had to all work together
Right.
to defeat the Bio-Lizard at the end. But I feel like there's still a lot we're not seeing here. We get a glimpse at Maria, a glimpse at Gerald, but we don't know. Like we don't see Sonic skateboarding on a wing. We don't see Sonic go to prison. We don't see a pyramid with a rocket in, then go to space. There's still a lot they can do here.
We haven't seen the moon blown up yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely setting up. I can imagine Robotnik being the one to be the big bad villain by the end.
Yeah, for sure.
And have Shadow work together in a very similar plot line to Knuckles.
Yes.
In Sonic 2.
Yeah,
but Shadows definitely feels like a much more active threat than Knuckles.
Yeah.
And like they know the scenes to hit with Shadow.
Oh,
they
yes.
they gave him a motorcycle. Yeah. They gave him teleporting around kicking. They have him doing the Akira slide.
Yep.
Yeah.
They know what they're
Knuckles'
doing.
hand around.
I know, right? And
so
I also
good.
thought it was kind of interesting how Gunn referred to, like they call them Team Sonic.
They're working
like,
with them. Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool. I didn't necessarily expect to see that, and now they're like, I guess, known by the government as like this, trio that saved the world, and they're kind of like big time now. I didn't necessarily expect that, so that was kind of cool to see. And I'm wondering how they're going to play with that.
Logically, it makes sense. They're not going to mistake Sonic for a completely different looking hedgehog.
Right.
It's always so dumb.
Yeah. That was always a really weird moment,
Yeah.
but I see Pick Miner pointing out Rouge and Amy aren't happening. I'm hesitant to say that yet.
I think Rouge could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know
Rouge
about
could
it.
happen. Amy might have. It's hard to say. But the focus
does feel-
for the
yeah.
first trailer, you definitely want to focus on Shadow.
Yeah.
You can bring in the other characters after that.
Catactive Club says we briefly see Sonic using the Flames of Disaster from the show. It's so funny that he got the Flames of Disaster.
Or Knuckles,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that he has a flame of
Knuckles, yeah.
disaster.
It's
Yeah,
so funny.
Yeah, they're in kind of a weird place with Amy because obviously Shadow is the big deal, and then they can't save Amy for like a post-credit scene because she's just not going to have the same. I mean, I love Amy, but she's not going to have that same pool that someone
She doesn't
with Shadow
carry a
does.
movie, does she? Yeah.
Right. So like, I mean, I feel like
And
the
really,
next one,
Rouge doesn't either.
yeah, Rouge doesn't either.
Metal Sonic is
Yeah, you
Metal
you
Sonic's
could,
gotta
you could
be the
do
next
Amy and Metal Sonic in the same movie.
Yeah, I think so.
true. Well, here's my question. Is it going to be BioLizard, or are they going to pull a Godzilla versus Kong and have Shadow and Sonic team up to take on Metal Sonic?
I think you can save Metal Sonic for another time.
I think Metal Sonic is probably Sonic 4. That's the hook for Sonic 4,
Uh,
and with like a Metal Overlord type form that they have to team up.
I'd
to
rather
But I
have
feel
Chaos.
Like,
Chaos would be cooler for a movie, I think. But Metal Sonic.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, the cool thing with Metal Sonic, if they really want to go for it, if they could have Metal Sonic, Silver Sonic, and there's a third robot.
Oh,
Sonic,
Mecha Sonic.
Mecha Sonic.
Yeah.
And have them combined in order to get your Metal Overlord.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I could see that being the case. I do think they're going to save Metal Sonic for the next movie. I mean, they're going so hard on Sonic Adventure 2. I just don't see how they don't do BioLizard. Everything else is so Adventure 2 inspired, right? They even had Live and Learn in the title sting from several months back. I don't see how they go all in on SA2 like they have been and not do the BioLizard. I mean,
I'm a
we
floating
can see
voice
Gerald
for a
Robotnik.
second. Live
Yeah,
audience
no
say
worries.
the Deadly Six. Can you imagine if they did a movie about the
Oh,
Deadly
no.
Six?
Oh, God.
No, please. No. But yeah, I think it's going to be BioLizard. And the spectacle, if they do it with Super Sonic and Super Shadow taking on the BioLizard in space, man, this is the definition of a Day Zero or like Night Zero movie. I need to see this movie with a crowd of hardcore Sonic fans. Have to.
The thing is with BioLizard is that BioLizard comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They need to set up BioLizard properly. So, is it better to go with Black Doom instead?
It links into the game more, right? Links into Sonic and Shadow Generations a bit more too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they do if that could be a tease.
Because
Like,
I don't know if BioLizard is that exciting of a final villain to take on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, they could. Maybe they do. Maybe they go the Black Doom route instead. That's true.
There's a lot of moving
I don't
parts,
know.
though. Like, how many characters can you fit into a 2-hour runtime?
I know.
True.
And they don't want to dilute Shadow too much, of course.
Yeah.
Man, can you even believe how far we've come from the original ugly Sonic design? Like everyone thinking they were going to absolutely screw this up, and now 3 movies in, they're like some of the best video game to movie adaptations ever made.
Yeah, they're not shying away from the games. Some movie adaptations are afraid to be a game, and this is just throwing everything in there. Even the Chow are here now as little mascots that get blown up in a frame.
Yeah, that's funny. That's really good.
And I continue to feel, and they really made the right decision in terms of keeping Colleen O'Shaughnessy on his tails. I'm so glad they didn't recast her.
Absolutely.
She's perfect. She continues to be perfect as Hales, and that's just one of those things, one of those many things they've gotten right with this film series, where they know what the fans want. And they didn't just go for the star power for every single character.
Except for music. You talked about Live and Learn, but they brought back the same composer, and we don't get a lot of Sonic music in these movies.
Yeah, that's true. Like, the closest we've gotten is like Green Hill Ringtone, and that's kind of it, right?
Well, I was going to mention during the trailer, I did catch that really epic version of Green Hill Zone that played during, like, toward the end of the trailer, and that was cool.
Yeah, hopefully it's more than just the trailer thing. So the Mario movie, if anything, that is where it excelled, the soundtrack.
Definitely, yeah. I still think we're going to get Live and Learn in the movie itself.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a new version of Live and Learn.
For the Supersonic battle, you've got to have it there, right?
You do, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't wait.
Anything else you guys want to say before we wrap this thing up? This has been there's been a lot to cover today.
There's a lot of moving parts. Like, this is just a hodgepodge of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I do like that these movies have been just a gradual complete fully forming Robotnik into what we know him from the games.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Where we finally have Fat Robotnik.
And of course, Agent Stone had to have his cameo in the trailer. You can't not have a new Sonic trailer without Agent Stone.
It's so funny to say that now, because if you said that like 5 years ago, I'd be like, who the hell is Agent Stone?
I know, and he's so popular now.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. Who would have guessed?
All right.
Oh, I can't wait.
I think that's us for now then. A lot of cool stuff today, a lot of stuff to look forward to. And thank you, live audience, for joining us for all this discussion. You've contributed in cool ways, and we love just reading you in the bottom corner while we talk. But yeah, that is us. That is the Indie talked about, the Partner Direct talked about, and Sonic Movie 3 talked about. We've done it. We can breathe. Yeah, so thank you for watching, everybody. And if you want to join that Patreon box in the corner, you can. It's just $5 on our Patreon to join the live audience tier, and you can hang out with us while we record these and get a bunch of other perks too. So thank you so much, everyone, and we will catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.